Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today Man just filed an 8K and I'm seeing a few key shareholder votes that tell a story. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company held its annual shareholder meeting and approved some changes to their equity plan and how directors can be removed. So, ManpowerGroup Inc, ticker symbol MAN, held their 2026 annual meeting of shareholders on May 8th, 2026. One of the big things approved was an update to their 2011 equity incentive plan. Essentially, they are adding an extra 1,100,000 shares that can be given out through this plan. This also extends the plan's life, allowing for new grants all the way out to May 8th, 2036. This is pretty standard stuff for growing companies, making sure they can keep attracting and retaining talent with stock options and awards. Then they also made a change to how directors can be removed. Shareholders approved an amendment to the company's articles of incorporation. This means directors can now be removed with or without cause. Following that, the board of directors also changed the company's bylaws to match. This new rule says that removing a director now requires a 2/3 vote from the shareholders entitled to vote. This might seem like a small detail, but it gives shareholders more power to hold directors accountable if they are not happy with their performance. Now, let's dive into the actual voting results. It's always interesting to see how shareholders voted on these important proposals. First up, the election of 10 directors. Jean-Philippe Courtois got a solid majority with over 35 million shares voting for and a little over 273,000 voting against. John F. Ferraro also passed comfortably with nearly 35.2 million for votes. William P. Gipson saw a similar result with over 35.1 million for votes. Julie M. Howard also received strong support with around 35 million for votes. Ulice Payne Jr. had a bit more opposition with over 1 million votes against, but still passed with close to 34.5 million for votes. Muriel Pénicaud was approved with over 35.1 million for votes. Jonas Prising also got the green light with about 34.7 million for votes, though it had more than 500,000 against. Paul Reid was approved with over 35.1 million for votes. Elizabeth P. Sartan also passed with around 34.9 million for votes. And finally, Michael J. Van Handel was elected with nearly 34.9 million for votes. So all 10 director nominees were approved by shareholders. Next, shareholders voted on ratifying Deloitte and Touches LLP as the company's independent auditors for 2026. This is always a pretty routine vote. The results here were overwhelmingly in favour, with over 36.3 million votes for ratification and only about 1.4 million against. Clearly, the shareholders are comfortable with Deloitte. Then we have the say on pay vote. This is an advisory vote on the compensation of their top executives. Here, the vote was more divided. About 33.7 million voted to approve the compensation, while about 1.6 million voted against. While it passed, the notable number of against votes suggests some shareholders might be questioning the executive pay packages. Now back to that director removal proposal. The amendment to allow removal with or without cause passed with an overwhelming majority, over 35.3 million votes in favour and very few against. This shows shareholders are in favour of having more control over the board. And finally, the approval of the amended and restated equity incentive plan. This also passed with strong support, getting over 34.2 million for votes. This confirms the shareholders are on board with the company's strategy to use equity as a way to incentivize employees. On a different note, the board of directors also declared a semi-annual dividend of $0.72 per share. This dividend will be paid out on the 15th of June to shareholders who own the stock by the 1st of June. This is good news for income. Focused investors looking at the overall picture here. ManpowerGroup is making moves to empower its shareholders with more say over director appointments and reward its employees through equity plans. The strong votes for these proposals suggest a generally positive sentiment from shareholders regarding the company's governance and incentive structures. The advisory vote on executive compensation is a point to watch, indicating potential shareholder concerns that management might need to address. The dividend announcement is a solid positive for investors. The actual text of the bylaws amendment and the equity incentive plan are filed as exhibits, along with the press release about the dividend. The filing is signed by Michelle S. Nettles, who is the Chief People and Legal Officer. All in all, this filing shows ManpowerGroup is actively managing its governance and compensation structures, with shareholder approval on key initiatives. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description.